right. Oh, hold up, everyone. So last year, I rebuilt my brother's guitar. And after the whole process of researching the components, assembling the guitar, fine-tuning the setup, and just playing the thing for a few weeks, I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what this instrument sounded like. But after finally getting it back into my brother's hands, as well as getting a few of our friends to play on it, I noticed that I was consistently surprised by the sounds coming from an instrument that I thought I knew inside and out. So that got me wondering, when it comes to dialing in your own sound, what matters more, the guitar or the guitarist? Hey everyone, Nisa Bell here. Trying to find your own sound is a tale as old as guitars themselves, and between the instrument, the pedals, the amp, and even the guitar pick, there's a ton of components that go into constructing a musician's particular sound. Now, I don't think it's a super controversial thing to say that, of course, two guitars will sound different from each other, especially if they have different pickup types or pot values. But I'm sure you've also noticed two people making the same guitar sound completely different. Maybe you have your friend play on your rig and you get to hear a new side of what it's capable of, or maybe you pick up the same guitar as your favorite artist only to find that you sound nothing like them. If it were that easy, my entire collection would be artist signature models. So to see just how much both the guitar and the guitarist contribute to the overall sound, I needed to set up a couple tests. But as I started planning out how exactly I was going to do this, I quickly realized that a sample size of one amateur guitarist is hardly enough for comparison, let alone a valid experiment. So knowing I was going to need some help with this one, I brewed some coffee, baked up a batch of cinnamon rolls, and enlisted the help of some of the best musicians I know.
Hey, I'm Emily from Get Offset.
Hi, my name is Mike.
I'm Matt.
To get started, I wanted to get everyone's thoughts about what matters when it comes to crafting your own sound.
I think it's kind of a mix between the guitar itself and the guitarist. I think if you don't have both things kind of combined in a way where the guitarist is comfortable, then it's just not going to sound right.
I would say the guitar itself is the biggest consideration for me. There's a lot of truth to what people say on forums, that your tone is from the hands or whatever. I think that's maybe too much of a distillation. What actually is happening is that everybody comes at the instrument from a completely different musical perspective.
I think it's just having an instrument that is comfortable to you, that's set up right. But I think more importantly, it's just your influences, because everyone's trying to emulate something in particular that is not the same set of things as the next player. And so that changes a lot about how you approach the instrument, where you play things on the fretboard.
So to test just how much both we and our instruments fit into this equation, I wrote out a quick demo and we constructed two experiments. First, I wanted to focus on the guitarist by eliminating as many variables as possible. For this one, we would all be playing the same guitar, on the same rig, and even using the same guitar pick. But something that I still had to consider is that all four of us had pretty different musical backgrounds and influences, which present fairly audibly in the way that we play. So to compensate for those stylistic differences, I instructed everyone to play as straight as possible. Meaning no embellishments, no vibrato, no bending, and pretty much none of what makes guitar playing fun. Not gonna lie, this proved to be a bit more challenging than expected.
I don't know how I did it. I'm sorry. I'll try. I can try a real straight one.
Is that good enough?
Everybody made me play a real sterile. So.
But can you play it straighter?
Yeah. Which part?
Why is this pick so big? It's just getting in the way.
Sterile it up, bro. It's so fucking hard. I hate you.
Finally, after we got all the style drained from our playing, we tracked the most boring takes that the four of us had ever played. So to make things a bit more interesting, we made a little game of it. So the way this is gonna work is Brittany is gonna play all four of them without telling us what they are and out of order.
Love it.
So the things I want you guys to think about is see if, one, they do sound different, two, how they sound different, and three, who is who.
Well, that one was ass, so that's me.
If you'd like to play along, close your eyes for the next four demos and see if you can tell who is who in 3, 2, 1. how it was for you at home, but for us, it was immediately obvious not just how different they sounded, but who played which one.
So can we go ahead and guess?
That's Emily.
No.
Are these all the Strat?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
That was more obvious than you thought it was going to be, wasn't it?
So I think we were pretty all set on the order. I'm pretty sure it went Emily, me, Mike, Matt.
Yeah, I think
That's what I
right.
think.
Yeah. I had a couple main takeaways from this whole thing. First, even trying to control for as many variables as we could, I was still blown away by how unique all 4 takes sounded. And second, we deduced that a lot of the differences we were hearing came down to how we use our right hands.
I mean, I was hybrid picking the whole time, so
Yeah.
that was pretty obvious. And then Mike's, Matt had the really soft touch, and then Mike had the obviously
On the spectrum, I would say you were the softest, most controlled, and I am. I'm digging in constantly.
Yeah, I try to like be gentle because I just hate like notes sticking out when I'm playing clean, so I'm trying to be pretty loose.
I attack a string at close to a 45-degree angle.
Interesting.
I try not to.
I try to
Oh.
avoid that
Like,
because
yeah,
I want
exactly.
the string note to jump out, not the sound of the windings.
Oh, I want it as bright as humanly possible.
This is
So
so
I go
fun.
for like a slight scrape.
We're
with
so
every single note.
idiosyncratic.
Yeah,
Everybody's
I'm
so
trying-
different.
Overall, I think it makes sense that the player has such a large impact on tone since we as human beings bring so many variables to the table. Every player has their own influences, nuances, and imperfections that shine through in the way that we play no matter what guitar we're using. Or, as Mike put it,
What is a musician but a miserable pile of variation? Yeah.
Now, moving on to our next experiment. For this one, I wanted to look at how much influence the guitar itself had on our sound. So we went back to the same Strat, Milkman, Black Mass 1312 rig, but this time I asked everyone to interpret and play this demo in their own style. We would still be keeping to the same tempo, but now all embellishments, pickup switching, and vibrato arm movements were on the table. Once we had the demo dialed in on the Strat, we all switched from an instrument we had limited experience with to our own guitar of choice. Here's how we did. That anyone's surprised that each of these guitar pairings sounded, well, different from one another. Compared to the Strat, most of the guitars we picked had different pickup types, pot values, scale lengths, and even string gauges, all of which made for pretty audible differences. But if I'm being honest, it wasn't as big of a difference as I thought it'd be. Now, I had a hard time making sense of these similarities until something Emily said shed a bit more light on what I was hearing.
So Layla, who made this guitar, when she was looking for a pickup for it, she went with a friend to a guitar shop because she doesn't actually play guitar. A friend of hers did. And what she noticed was he was adjusting his playing to match whatever the guitar was. He wasn't playing the same things. He wasn't playing in the same way. So she was looking and trying to find a pickup that would work with the most people. And she realized after watching him that players are just going to adjust their playing around the guitar.
So what does this all mean? Does the player definitively matter more than the guitar, since at the end of the day, we'll all just adjust to the guitar we're playing? Is tone in fact stored in the fingers? Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. I don't know if you noticed during my Strat demo, but I was visibly less comfortable on this guitar, especially when compared to how relaxed I felt on my own instrument. And this isn't any fault of the Strat itself. In fact, it's a fantastic guitar. But frankly, I'm pretty terrible at guitar whenever I have to play one that's not mine. Now, I bring this up because the more mental capacity I have to use to just hit the right notes at the right time in the right way, the less effort and energy I'm able to put towards being musical and expressive, which in my mind is a pretty big part of a musician's sound. Now, for those of you that are new here, the guitar that I used for this demo was my Fender Jaguar Ariel, a guitar that I spent the entirety of last year modding to my particular preferences and to accent my playing style. This guitar is able to draw sounds and phrases out of me that continue to surprise me every single day. And there are just things that I can do on this guitar that are seemingly impossible on ones that I'm less familiar with. Maybe it's a bit strange to think of an instrument as an extension of yourself musically, but I'm not the only one who feels this way.
This is my Fender FSR Player Jaguar. It is a 24-inch scale. 24-inch scale, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got the Black Mass Between Worlds pickups. I really like this humbucker in particular at the bridge. It's really mid-focus, has a little bit more compressed feel. It's really hot. I'm a pretty soft player, and I think that's just because I've always played with roommates or like parents in the other room, and I'm trying to play quietly, and so that's how I've just always played. So having more gain in a pickup or on a pedal board has always just kind of suited me for that.
This is my Tuna Tone Teeny Tuna. It was the 6th ever made by Layla City up in Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I have guitars that are more versatile than this, but this is my favorite. It's comfortable. It was, made kind of with people like me in mind. When I was playing the Strat, I was making some adjustments probably without thinking about it. So then when I pick up this guitar, it's just a different feel, it's a different experience. And I think it brings out something different in me, which I think is a big reason a lot of guitarists do want to own multiple guitars, even if they're sort of similar. Maybe they bring out something different in you as a player.
This guitar and I have been together for, I got this in 2012, so 11 years. I've just got it set up in such a way where I know exactly what I can get out of this guitar, which makes me feel so much more comfortable. Maybe it's cliche, but I feel like I can do a lot more on this guitar than most others that I own. This guitar and it just feels like we've grown into each other. Kind of the way that a tree will. If you leave a bike leaned against it for 50 or 60 years, the tree will grow around it. That's how I kind of feel about this one. And I'm sure lots of people will disagree, but I feel like when you bond with an instrument and you know it and it's yours, I think that makes a huge difference, at least for me. There's an argument to be made for versatility. You should be able to play any guitar or whatever. But that's just not how I function. It's not how I relate to the instrument. And so when I know one the way that I know this one, I just feel more myself and more capable than in any other situation.
To me, your particular sound is what you find at that intersection of your own musicality and an instrument that allows and inspires you to explore that musicality. So does this mean that we were able to find a definitive answer on guitar versus guitarist? Or was this all just an excuse to hang out with some of my favorite people and musicians in the world? Who knows, but I feel like I've gained a renewed appreciation for my instruments, and I'm excited to explore any new sounds that they may inspire. Thank you so much to Emily, Mike, and Matt for helping out with this one, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to their channels. Link to all three in the description below. But I think that's all I have for you today, so thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Happy playing!